Welcome back to Cheche. We're live on Citizen TV. The voters register is a huge source of concern as we head into the general election. An independent audit by the management consulting firm KPMG found anomalies in the register, which has not yet been published. But that issue has been addressed by today's guest, Commissioner Dr. Roslyn Akombe of the IEBC. And so we've dealt with the voters register. We were coming to we've dealt with the BVR kit.
Let's go back to technology.
Go back. We're not done with technology yet. We're still on technology.
There was last 2013, there was an issue of power.
Outages.
How are you sorting out that matter? The people, some kits didn't work because there was no power, or they were talking.
They had not been charged.
No, they hadn't been charged. What?
Yeah, I mean the difference between 2013 in terms of the kits and now is that this time round you're not having your whole computer, you know, like the system that they were using was a whole big laptop. That reminds me of the age of Renaissance. But now you have these small little tablets that we're using. We have tested, we've just tested those kits. They have about the capacity to go on, the gadget itself has the capacity to go on for about 8 hours with the power inside it. We have also provided a power bank that has about 16 hours. What we saw during the verification process, though, is that a lot of our young people whom we had hired to do the work were using the power banks to charge their phones. So we have put in strict measures, and we lost some. We lost about 400 of those power banks during the verification, which we have put the accountability to the returning officers to ensure that we recover that. So as a deterrent, really. And so it's the power banks, and we are looking for certain areas, especially in the far-flung areas. We are providing not just one power bank, but 2 power banks for those areas. I mean, we know that they only need the power for about, at the max, 12 hours.
Let me come to the panel for a minute.
I think, Udwak, one thing is coming out clearly here, that IEBC, as it is presently constituted, failed to realize that politicians, much as their stakeholders in all this, have a lot of vested interest, and so every action they take is intended at ensuring that they have a valve where they can at least get out there and get things their way. I'm talking in reference to the issue of technology. You remember after the electoral laws were passed, parliamentarians insisted that we change this and have a provision for manual verification, just in case anything happens. And they had a valid point, just in case anything happens. But now here is a situation where we are saying, should technology fail, we will use the manual register. And we'll be going into what you're saying next, the issue of ballot papers.
Mutegi?
I don't know. They completely refused any manual. The parliamentary refused. Isn't it the case that we cannot use manual?
No, it has been provided for.
Yeah, later on it was brought back.
Yes, it was brought in now.
But it was one of the issues of contention.
Why the parliamentarians brought it back? Why?
And you know, I mean, speaking of that, you might be aware that there is another lawsuit regarding that, whereby NASA has gone to court, asking the court to, well, claiming that we have not put in place procedures for that complementary mechanism. And we'll see how that plays out. But actually the regulations are there. They clarify what the complementary mechanism would be and how it will be.
And the complementary mechanism in this case is the manual register? It
will be the manual register in case the KIMs fail. And there's a procedure we have used, which we've largely followed, picked up from Ghana, the Ghana model, of how you then verify and ensure.
Wasn't there contention about the sourcing of the kits, because you had the option to procure from Ghana, and you went the more expensive route, which was to buy from France, I believe it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that it would have been cheaper to get it from Ghana. I mean, we had discussions with the election commission of Ghana. We even had actually meetings with Madame Charlotte Osei, who came here to Kenya. But we looked at the various options, and we realized that the kind of system that they had in place would not necessarily satisfy what the legal requirements here were. And the issues then were...
Such as what?
The issues then were whether we procure it from Saffron or we procure it from all the other companies that were bidding.
What were the
for
problems with the Ghana system? Why would it not have met our needs in Kenya?
Because the Ghana system did not do transmission of results. They did not do an electronic transmission of results. They did. They used it, and it effectively worked. The identification, and that is why, for me, that is the part that needs to work. Once the verification works, then you don't have issues of questioning the number of people, the turnout. Because remember, this election is going to be won based on the voter turnout, because you've done registration, it's voter turnout. So that is why the verification aspect has to work, has to deliver. Because once you have that, if the transmitting results, even if the electronic transmission of results does not fails, if it fails, at least you have the results. At least you have in each polling station those results pasted, and each agent and each political party will have those results. Then you can use a complementary mechanism for transmitting. But results
has also been a contentious one. So I'll stop you so that we can go step by step.
Sure.
So you don't leave us anywhere in the wilderness.
Sure.
Electronic transmission. How will that work?
The electronic transmission, the keys that we have, the gadgets that we have, will also be used for transmission of the results. So when you have in a polling station, and remember the court has affirmed that results as announced in the polling station at the constituency level are final, which was an important clarification to get from the court. What you have is that in a polling station, you'll have the results announced. The presiding officer in that place will then enter the results in the forms, and this time we're providing different forms that are carbonated to avoid mistakes, so that the presiding officer does not have to fill, before you had to fill each form. So now you only have to fill one, and the rest reflect, so that there are no inconsistencies and no errors. Then the presiding officer enters the results, being watched by the agents, into the KIMS, the gadget, and the gadget transmits. These are places where, sorry, I missed one step. So you enter the results, but what most important, you also scan the form. And once you scan the form, the system, we have configured it in such a way that you have to transmit both. The system will not allow you to transmit one without the other. And that is really important, because we want to ensure that the forms are there, because remember, the agents sign the forms, so that the system does not allow you to just transmit the results, because who knows. You need to have the backup of that.
Contention with a lawsuit, which you have wisely said, gave an important clarification about the announcement of, because you seem to have this fail-safe system. One assumes that you would be trusting your electoral officials. So why was it a contention as to whether polling stations could announce results?
I think,
or maybe not. I'm not sure announce is the right word.
Is the returning officer to declare the winner. I think that is for me, for us as a commission, we were trying to seek clarification, because when the High Court was looking at the case, it was looking at the case based on the 2012 laws, the 2012 regulations. In the meantime, while they were discussing, still handling the case, then you had the amendments that were made to the election law. You had new regulations that came in place, and so what we had sought to get clarification from the Court of Appeal is that the High Court had made a ruling based on the 2012 regulations, 2012 Election Act. Now that you have the 2016 amendments and you have the 2017 new regulations, which ones do you go by? Do you go by the regulations, the previous ones, or this one? But also there was an important aspect of it about declaring results. Results, when you say you're declaring, announcing the winner, we needed to have clarity. Does that mean that in each of the 290 constituencies, the returning officer will then say, and the winner is, and that is how, if you read the ruling, that's how you could have assumed that it was going to be. And our concern was that you're going to have then 290 different results, and 290 different presidential petitions. And the clarification that the Court of Appeal gave us is that no, the results as announced by the constituency returning officer are final, but the person who announces the national results is the national returning officer, who's Chairman Chibukati. So I think that is the clarification that we sought, and that is the clarification that we got.
Fair enough, but you mentioned in your a short while ago that to you the most important thing is voter identification, because from what you're explaining, the transmission, it's full. So is NASA right in seeking clarification on how the manual register is going to be used in this case? Is it that there is no clear framework on how the manual register is going to be used, and so voter identification could be abused?
I mean, I honestly don't know the motivation behind the lawsuit, because the regulations are very clear. They show step by step what the complementary mechanism would look like, and I mean, so I'm not really sure why they are seeking clarification from the court, because the process for our regulations, as you know, is very thorough. We have the discussions, we go to the Parliamentary Committee on Delegated Legislation, where they are actively participating. It goes to Parliament, it gets approved. So those are the complementary mechanism as outlined for identification was in the regulation, was given to Parliament, and we have included in the regulation.
So electronic transmission, what if it fails? Because remember, we had the power outages in 2013, and at some point we started manual tallying. So how have you, burglar-proofed the electronic results transmission system?
I mean, for now, in case the electronic transmission system works, then we go back to what we've done in the past, whereby each of the presiding officers goes with the forms to the constituency returning officer. They add up the numbers, manual tallying, manual adding, and then they send the results over to Nairobi. So if the technology fails in terms of transmission, that's what will happen.
Well, it's not going to be tallying between a polling station and the constituency. Somebody must add something.
Yes, they still will be the tallying from the. But the beauty of the technology now is that once the results are tallied at the polling station, they're transmitted. You, as the media, will have those results as transmitted, because they will be transmitted along with not just the numbers, but also the forms. They'll hit our web portal, then the results will be available to the political actors, to
so there can be no fiddling with the numbers.
So if the system fails, the media should not fail.
Yes.
No, hang on. Yes, I agree with you. No, don't agree with him. Charles is being sly there, because he's telling you that if the IBC fails, your backup plan is the media.
The media will be able to give the results.
And he's saying,
you can declare the winner. You can give the results, but you can't declare a winner of the presidential race, because
so media houses can
you'll
call
be arrested.
So media houses can call results. It will be up to the citizens who are watching to tally and draw a conclusion. But isn't that creating?
But that's what we've been talking about, transparency on results. I mean, if the results have been announced in a polling station by the presiding officer, the agents are there, the various candidates are there, those results will be transmitted, and you will be able to see them. What you can't do as a citizen or as a media is to announce and say, now so and so is the winner of this race.
What about the SMS system, the telephone transmission? How are you securing that?
For transmitting the results?
Yeah.
We're not using that anymore.
You're not using, well,
I mean, we were not using telephone as a system of transmitting the results anymore. That would be our backup in case the KIMS fail. But our primary transmission method is the KIMS, and that is why we've been talking about importance of ensuring that we have 3G network everywhere, and in places where we don't have 3G network, we're working with the three operators, telecom operators, to provide satellite service, so that we ensure that we don't have.
What if that doesn't work? We've been weak sometimes, cable cuts or something, and we don't have access to the internet, and we have patchy service from some service providers who will go unnamed, although we hope that there'll be a class action suit against them. What happens if you have unreliable internet service?
That's where we have then the complementary mechanism kicks in, whereby
which is the manual tallying.
Is the manual one, yes.
And there'll be no SMS transmission at all.
That is one of the options we are considering. I mean, we are looking at, but we've seen the weaknesses of that too. So we also have to be cautious about how we proceed on that.
You have talked about agents.
I was coming to that.
Why are you assuming that there will be agents all over?
No, let's rewind, because I want to find out from you, from both of you, if you're satisfied, if you're confident that you know, voter registration, transmission of results, the CAIM system, that IEBC has done everything, excuse me, in its power to ensure that technology does not fail us.
I think I'm satisfied. But technology may fail, but what can you do? This is human error sometimes. But my worry is that assuming that when these softwares are signed, that there will be an agent for every person, which is not necessarily the case.
We'll come to that. Charles?
As far as the time frame within which IEBC has been operating is concerned, they have done a good job. I will still go back to this donkey that I've whipped and whipped and whipped. You people are not communicating. You're doing a wonderful job, but the voter out there is left out of your communication trail. The biggest mistake,
like you admitted,
the biggest mistake which you have admitted is that you're using political leaders and stakeholders who have vested interests. Somebody said in this show some time back that Kenya is a very funny country. You will show somebody color red in Nyanza. When you go to the coast, somebody will say that's green, that's not red. So you'll give information, but the politicians will perceive it or change it to suit their interests.
And I think that is why we've launched the voter education programs. I regret that they are coming a bit too late in the day, but we've now launched our voter education programs. We're working on putting some billboards around and sharing information so people really understand what we're doing and what we're aiming at. If I had my way, we could have done the voter education much earlier and in a much more intense way. I mean, you should be seeing all these things on your television sets, whereby we explain the technology, how it works, what will happen if it fails. I mean, I would be the first to agree with you that on voter education, on communicating, that is one place that we need to beef up, and we don't have much time.
So what have you done about voter education?
We're launching the program.
You've gone far because you had an issue, an important one, about agents.
Yeah.
You're assuming that there will be people to sign off when we know in 2013 that agents disappeared.
But whose responsibility is it to have agents in a polling station?
They're assuming.
Clearly not IEBC.
It is not. But she is.
What does that do to the results and the transmission of the results?
If I do not take care of my votes by ensuring I have an agent, it's not the responsibility of IEBC. The officers, because they are people recruited based on integrity, will do what they have to do.
Which is what? If there's no agent, can a returning officer transmit those results?
Yes. I mean, that's why one of the parts of, and we are having a session where we will, once political parties identify their agents, where we want to train the political party agents in each ward, in each constituency, so that they understand the regulations, they understand the law, they understand the practice, so they can be able to see where there's something that is being, an anomaly that is being done. And Mtegi, it's a very good question you're asking. I mean, but political parties have to take their part of the responsibility.
Sometimes it may be difficult to send an agent someplace.
But that is,
or to pay them and feed them.
But that is when you get into a political context, if there's anything, if there's anything that you need to focus on, is really on the training. But I think also it's the law enforcement agencies that have to make sure that they provide enough protections to various agents in various strongholds, because I mean the problem, I keep saying, the problem in our country and the problem in our electoral process is strongholds. It's not in the places that are not perceived strongholds. And for me, if I were a political party, that is where I will invest. I will invest in my opponent's stronghold. And that is why the question that you've asked me to go back to the political parties, for them to really invest in the strongholds. And that is why we will also welcome the issue of observers. We now have the European Union observers, we'll have the African Union observers, because they can play also that tempering role of observing, of being able to see what is going on. And with ELOG sending out its observers, if I were to be asked, I would really encourage them to invest in sending those observers in perceived strongholds, because that is really where we need to watch very carefully.
Maybe, Commissioner, you could also tell us, what does the law say about the number of agents per polling station, and if really it's true that no voter should be within the vicinity of a polling station, is it the polling room or the polling station? Because certain people in the government, the minister, the CS for Interior, has been on record as having said you're supposed to vote and go out from that environment.
Yes, I mean, look, the law provides for at least for one agent per political party, and which gives more room anyway to independent candidates, because that means that each independent candidate will have their own agent in there. And you know, I have heard concerns, for instance, from NASA saying that that they will have, you know, that they will have five people in a polling station. I mean,
and they've asked people to guard their vote.
If they have, you look at, because NASA is not vying in this election as NASA. NASA has constituent political parties. So if each of their constituent political parties sends people in, yes, they might end up having 5 people in a polling station, inside a polling station as agents, who will be guarding their votes as NASA. And any other coalition that is out there could be able to do the same thing, because we are looking at per political party rather than per coalition. But in terms of people around, you know, yes, you vote and go, because one of the things, you know, it's a good practice everywhere, and that is what we encourage people to do. That once you vote, you don't want to have people crowding around a polling station that might lead to security incidents. Once you vote, you'll go. But if people want to keep within a certain perimeter of the polling station, I mean, you know, away from, because the law also identifies the perimeter. There is a perimeter. You will always see a yellow line around
so you have to be
station.
outside that line.
So you have to be outside that yellow line. You cannot be inside that yellow line.
That includes agents.
No, the agents will be inside the polling station.
Okay, so let's take a break now. This is Cheche on Citizen TV. Send us your thoughts. Is the IEBC prepared to deliver a credible and peaceful election? Our SMS number is 22422, or you can reach us on Twitter using the hashtag Cheche.